Okay, so this is just reading the whole passage. So this is just me reading it out. So you can just read it and listen to it if that's what you would like. If you have a reader for your exams, I really suggest that you sort of listen to this while you're reading through. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the question. Read the whole passage. Tom is a hero. Evaluate to what extent do you agree with this statement. Refer to the whole passage in your answer and it's worth 10 marks. So we will start to look at that question a little bit later on, but the first thing we need to do is read the whole passage. So that's what I'm going to do. An extract from Border Crossing by Pat Barker. Suddenly, a third figure appeared, coming out from between the derelict buildings. He stopped and looked towards the river, or rather at a small jetty that was built across the mud into the deep water. He then started to stride towards it. It was Lauren who first noticed the young man. Look, she said, touching Tom's arm. They stood and watched him, grateful to be distracted from their own problems, to be mildly interested, mildly puzzled by the behaviour of another human being. There was an oddity about this boy that they both recognised seconds before he did anything odd. His trainers bit into the gravel, the only sound except for their own breathing. And then, alarmingly, he was slipping and slithering over the rotted timbers of the jetty. He stood, poised at the end, a black shape smudged with mist. They watched him drop his coat, scrape off his trainers, then tug the sweatshirt over his head. What's he doing? Lauren said. He can't be going to swim. People did swim here. In summer, you saw boys diving from the end of the jetty, but surely nobody would want to swim on a raw, murky day like this. He seemed to be shaking pills into the palm of his hand and cramming them into his mouth. He threw the bottle away, far out into the water, but his body got there first. A low, powerful dive that raised barely a splash. Almost immediately, his head appeared, bobbing as he was swept further from the bank. Already Tom was running, crunching broken glass, dodging half bricks, jumping piles of rubble. Once he lost his balance and almost fell, but immediately was up again and running, the slimy wood of the jetty treacherous beneath his feet. A second later, the water enclosed him in a coffin of ice. His mind contracted in fear as he fought the river that pushed him under, tossed him about, and slapped him to and fro across the face. Now, it might be a good idea to read through this a second time or listen to me reading it a second time before you move on to the next slide, where we're going to look at how to answer these questions.